Welcome back to segment 2 of show 20. We're going to talk about Research in Motion, the Canadian makers of the Blackberry. So, touching on a few things. They're doing horribly. Let's talk about that. 2, Amazon considered buying it. So did Nokia and Microsoft, who are already in bed. And an article came out yesterday, I think, on ZDNet that very interesting. It said, would Research in Motion be in a better position if they killed the Blackberry to focus on enterprise software and their patents? So lots to cover. Take it away. Any one of those 3 points.
Well, I actually think their patents are probably their biggest asset right now. Like for example, Google bought a few things this year. They didn't buy it because they just wanted the patents. I think that's the biggest thing they got going for them. They totally screwed up on their new operating system. The 2 guys running it, they kind of keep screwing up. So yeah, I think they should probably cut their losses now before the losses get too big. Sell off for the patents and like just retire happily or move on to the next thing. But I'm not even sure if enterprise software is the way for them to go.
This is so funny, and I'm the same way. So when I'm criticizing what you just said, I'm criticizing myself and everyone else. It's like, I think when we get around and we pontificate over these matters, it has to reflect reality. The 2 guys are loaded. They are probably set in their ways. They were like gods of communication thanks to the BlackBerry. They could care less. As much as everybody is telling them, you guys are idiots driving this company into the ground, they don't care. They basically dropped the ball with the playbook. They had to write it off. It was a $485 million write-off, and they could still care less. So I don't see them ever selling or getting rid of the BlackBerry because it's like hubris and arrogance and greed, sloth, and all the 7 sins piled into one. I do think, though, that the problem is if Amazon or Nokia and Microsoft wanted to buy them, Amazon maybe could do interesting things. Nokia and Microsoft, could, but they're already sort of trying to figure out what's what. But the bigger issue is I don't see the 2 Research in Motion founders, co-CEOs, that always works out really well, wanting to sell. I don't see them as sellers.
I
they
think
the life is good. We're making all this money. We're profitable. Doesn't matter if we don't even know how many freaking BlackBerry models are out there around the world. Life is good. So I think that's the bigger issue. The only thing is that they're worth less than their book value. So I do think, though, that if there's enough institutional shareholders out there, hasn't been very successful with AOL or Yahoo, I do see there being maybe some kind of like potential hostile takeover or something like that, where they're not going to have a choice in the matter. But I actually like the Amazon buying them. I think Amazon
could do some interesting stuff with those patents specifically. Between their cloud services and their Kindle products, I think that would be a good fit. It's almost like I would have even ventured that it might have made more sense for Nokia to, buy them or their patents than it would have made for Nokia to get in bed with Microsoft the way they did.
What do you think about the Nokia-Microsoft deal?
I guess in a certain sense, okay, Nokia needed a new operating system. Symbian was dead, MeeGo wasn't working out, and Windows Phone 7 needed distribution. I think the exclusivity was a mistake for Nokia. I think Nokia has always been really good at hardware. I love the cameras on their phone, and I've played with a lot of Nokias over the years. Their weakness was already operating system. I think they could have done some interesting stuff with Android. Windows Phone 7 has a really, 3% of the US market share? It's insignificant whatsoever. And I think Nokia, where they're like, okay, we want to sell more devices, so we want to get a better operating system, they pretty much went exclusive with the least popular operating system.
Okay, interesting. Statement, then a question, then we can move on. Statement. I think Amazon said that they wanted to be an advertising player. In other words, get into the business of selling ads. And myself and many people, I think we misunderstood that, thinking they're going to become a main player online. They generate billions of impressions already on Amazon.com, IMDb, and any other property that they own. But when you think that they launched the Kindle Fire tablet, and that's now giving them hundreds of millions of impressions each month in mobile, on tablets. So I think the reason why I don't like the Amazon Palm is that, the Amazon BlackBerry hookup is that the BlackBerry is a horrible browser for web browsing. So in that sense, there's a disconnect there. It would almost be like, look, with the Kindle Fire, we're going ahead, we're sort of stepping into the 21st century, and we're going to compete with Apple. But then in mobile, we're going to basically back the BlackBerry, which is great as a messaging platform, and a great phone, better than, let's say, the iPhone, but it's a crappy web experience. So that, I think, doesn't make
Well,
sense.
the BlackBerry, I don't think, was ever designed to provide primarily a web experience.
No,
it was
that's
it was
true.
a communication
And this
tool.
was the problem with the two co-CEOs. They were like, well, these are useless tools. Nobody cares for this. Nobody possibly wants to surf the internet on a mobile, which is obviously, I mean, go to any place you are. People are basically on their mobile. One question, and then we can move on. If you had to guess, is BlackBerry Research in Motion more Palm or Apple? In other words, is it basically just going to disappear, or is it going to come back?
I think it's definitely more Palm, hands down.
Somber message right there. All right, we're going to take a short break, come back with lightning round.